February 8, 2024, News Report 1. On February 7, 2024, the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China held the traditional Spring Festival activities. Firstly, a Spring Festival reception was held at the Great Hall of the People, chaired by the Central Committee of the Communist Party of China and the State Council, with Li Chang presiding. Party and state leaders attending the event included Zhao Leji, Wang Huning, Kai Qi, Ding Xuexiang, Li Shi, and Han Zhang. Xi Jinping delivered an important speech emphasizing the significance of the reception. The event also featured wonderful cultural performances showcasing the charm of the new era. Secondly, the Central Committee arranged a visit to 150 veteran comrades. These retired elders, referred to as veteran comrades, were divided into two groups, full members and alternate members. This arrangement highlights the care and respect of the party and the country for the older generation of revolutionaries. Finally, Xi Jinping and Russian President Putin held a phone call on February 8 to welcome the Lunar New Year. In recent years, Xi Jinping and Putin have made phone calls every Spring Festival, demonstrating the close and friendly relations between the two countries. News Report 2. On February 8, the Chinese stock market welcomed the last trading day of the Year of the Rabbit, jokingly referred to as the Ghost Hair Year. On this day, the stock market showed an upward trend, with the Shanghai Composite Index closing up 36 points to 2,865 points, with a turnover of 480 billion yuan. The Shenzhen Component Index closed up 112 points to 8,820 points, with a turnover of 530 billion yuan. Looking back at the entire Year of the Rabbit, the Shanghai Composite Index reached its highest point at 3,414 points and its lowest point at 2,635 points, with a cumulative decline of 12.2%. The Shenzhen Component Index reached its highest point at 12,246 points and its lowest point at 7,600 points, with a higher cumulative decline of 26.3%. Starting from tomorrow, the Chinese stock market will be closed until February 19, a total of 10 days. The rise in the stock market today is mainly due to two reasons. First, the impact of national policies on capital. Second, the influence of Chairman Xi Jinping's related remarks. However, so far, Chairman Xi Jinping's statements have only been topics reported by the media, and their specific impact remains to be seen. Unlike A-shares, the performance of the Hong Kong stock market is relatively flat. The Hang Seng Index closed down 200 points on February 8 to 15,878 points, with a turnover decreasing to just over 70 billion yuan. The Hong Kong stock market will open for half a day on February 9, New Year's Eve, and officially open on February 14, the fifth day of the Lunar New Year. News Report 3. On February 7, the Chinese government simultaneously issued two documents related to electric vehicles, reflecting its increasing concern about the export practices of electric vehicle manufacturers. On one hand, the government has imposed restrictions on the export of electric vehicles, while on the other hand, it has intensified efforts to encourage such exports. One of the documents, titled Opinions on Supporting the Healthy Development of Electric Vehicle Trade Cooperation, was jointly issued by 9 ministries, including the Ministry of Commerce, the National Development and Reform Commission, the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Transport, the People's Bank of China, the General Administration of Customs, the State Administration for Market Regulation, and the China Banking and Insurance Regulatory Commission. This demonstrates the Chinese government's support for the export of electric vehicles. This document puts forward 6 aspects and 18 policies to support electric vehicle enterprises, including establishing overseas sales networks and maintenance centers, as well as providing financial and credit support. Another document was jointly issued by the Ministry of Commerce, the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology, the Ministry of Public Security, the Ministry of Transport, and the General Administration of Customs, announcing requirements and procedures for the export of used vehicles, effective from March 1. This is related to the export of electric vehicles because most of China's electric vehicle exports are conducted under the guise of used cars. Chinese electric vehicles wishing to be exported to the United States must comply with various regulations in the U.S. market, including safety standards and environmental requirements. However, since many manufacturers find it difficult to meet these requirements, they choose to export vehicles as used cars to circumvent the regulations. This practice has led to a significant increase in China's electric vehicle exports, but in reality, it is difficult to see Chinese electric vehicles in foreign countries. The Chinese government's move aims to regulate the electric vehicle export market, strengthen management of production enterprises, and increase support for electric vehicle exports. These measures will have a significant impact on China's electric vehicle export market, bringing about new development prospects. News Report 4. According to Reuters, the Biden administration plans to sign an executive order next week directing the Department of Commerce and the Department of Homeland Security to issue new restrictions to prevent China from accessing sensitive data of Americans, including financial information, genetic data, voice patterns, and even keyboard usage habits. U.S. intelligence agencies are concerned that China may use this data to train artificial intelligence models, thereby gaining a strategic advantage. In addition, they are also concerned that the Chinese government may use this data to establish detailed profiles of Americans, including U.S. government employees. The report pointed out that the new restrictions will change the way U.S. companies interact with Chinese companies and will have a significant impact on the relationship between the two sides. News Report 5. American writer Williamson announced on February 7 that he was withdrawing from the Democratic presidential primaries. Currently, there are only Biden and another congressman, Phillips, left in the Democratic presidential primaries. The Democratic Party has held 2 presidential primaries, and Biden has won all of them with a huge lead in the vote count. It is basically a foregone conclusion. Meanwhile, former President Trump has also won 2 Republican primaries. The challenger of the Republican Party now has only the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Haley, left. Haley will be absent from the Republican Party's caucus in Nevada, and Trump is expected to win again, thus winning the primaries in 2 states. After the primaries, both parties will hold national conventions to formally nominate their candidates for president and vice president. The U.S. general election will be held on October 5. News Report 6. NATO will hold its largest joint exercise, codenamed Northern Response, in Norway, Finland, and Sweden from March 3 to March 14. The exercise will involve 20,000 soldiers from 14 NATO member countries, including over 100 fighter jets and more than 50 warships, including aircraft carriers, submarines, frigates, and amphibious landing ships. The main content of the exercise is to train NATO member countries to conduct cross-border defense and military equipment transportation at the northernmost ends of Norway, Sweden, and Finland. The Northern Response military exercise is a routine winter exercise in the Nordic region, which used to be held only in Norway but has now expanded to 3 countries. Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Finland and Sweden abandoned their neutral policies and joined NATO. Finland has already joined NATO, while Sweden is about to approve it. The choice of Norway, Finland, and Sweden for this exercise, 3 countries located very close to Moscow and only a few hundred kilometers away from Russia's Kola Peninsula, sends a strong signal to Russia. News Report 7. South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol gave an interview to the South Korean Broadcasting Corporation on February 7. Yoon said that South Korea does not seek its own nuclear deterrence cooperation in the face of North Korea's nuclear threat and pointed out that South Korea has the ability to rapidly develop nuclear weapons. However, if South Korea takes such action, it will face various economic sanctions similar to those currently imposed on North Korea, resulting in a severe blow to the South Korean economy. Yoon also expressed willingness to promote inter-Korean summit talks for two main reasons. First, South Korea's economy may suffer a severe blow, and second, he hopes to prevent the talks from becoming superficial through discussions between officials at all levels of the two countries. In recent times, North Korea has been conducting continuous weapons tests, while South Korea has responded through military exercises, leading to escalating tensions between the two sides. In December last year, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un characterized the relationship between the two countries as hostile and tore up many cooperation agreements, intensifying tensions between North and South Korea. Yoon's remarks are aimed at easing the relationship between the two sides, but North Korea has not responded and has instead continued to escalate tensions. According to the Hae Unification Agency, North Korea held a plenary meeting of the Supreme People's Assembly on February 7, unilaterally abolishing the South-North Economic Cooperation Law and the Mount Kumgang International Tourism Zone Law. The Ministry of Unification conducted in-depth interviews with 6,351 defectors, and the results showed that 72% of the respondents did not receive food allocated by the state, and 90% said there was no black market to buy food, making it difficult for them to make a living. The economic downturn and food shortages in North Korea can be traced back to the arduous March era of the 1990s, and since Kim Jong-un took power in 2012, North Korea's rationing system has collapsed significantly. News Report 8. According to Reuters, a research report released by the Citizen Lab at the University of Toronto on February 7 revealed that there are over 100 websites in 30 countries across Europe, Asia, and Latin America disguising themselves as local news outlets to promote pro-China content. Many of these websites are controlled by Chinese PR companies such as Shenzhen Hyunex Media. These websites frequently disseminate various conspiracy theories involving the United States and its allies, such as the controversy over the origin of the COVID-19 virus. Some websites claim that the virus leaked from a U.S. laboratory, when in fact, it originated from a laboratory in Wuhan. For example, there is a website called Roma Daily, which appears similar to Italian news media on the surface, but its homepage is filled with articles from Chinese official media, including China's contributions to global economic recovery and technological innovation. However, the Citizen Lab pointed out that these counterfeit websites are not legitimate registered media outlets in Italy. The Citizen Lab stated that these counterfeit websites began to emerge one after another in 2020, and their impact is not yet clear. However, with the rapid increase in the number of these websites, the dissemination of pro-China and anti-US content may have a greater impact on local media and audiences. According to a report from the South Korean National Intelligence Service, as of November 2023, Hyunex Media has set up 18 fake media websites in South Korea. News Report 9. According to Voice of America, a Chinese student named Ma Yuwei at the University of York in the United Kingdom raised a flag with the words, "Liberate Hong Kong, Revolution of Our Times," during the graduation ceremony on February 7. Ma Yuwei is pursuing a master's degree in social governance and education at the University of York. He participated in pro-China white paper revolution activities in the UK but faced threats from Chinese agents. His family in China was also harassed by the Ministry of State Security twice. Ma Yuwei stated that he raised the flag to show support for the people of Hong Kong and express his concern for the situation there during the graduation ceremony. However, prior to the graduation ceremony, Ma Yuwei had requested permission from the school to display the flag, but the school responded that his actions were inappropriate. When Ma Yuwei raised the flag during the graduation ceremony, the school's security warned him not to do so, and the school's cameras were adjusted not to broadcast the footage of him raising the flag during the live stream. Ma Yuwei expressed confusion over the University of York's response.